Welcome everyone to CFTA. Please give a warm round of applause to your host for this evening, Mike Derbecker.
Greetings and salutations. I just almost took out my teeth with a microphone. Free dental work. I believe in complete transparency in these things. Everybody who's here, thank you very much for coming out this evening. And as usual, I just want to thank Jake, Dexter, George, everybody here across the board. People are being nice. I like that. Point of this evening, the topic for this evening is thanks, but no thanks. And I had a definitive reason for doing that because everything that's brought me to Hamilton has been kind of based on my response to another offer. If that makes sense. I was offered a job in Toronto, which would have kept me from coming here, and I kind of said, thanks, but no thanks. I'd rather take my chance in a new city. And emotionally, a lot of the situations I've managed to talk myself out of, or fortuitously found myself in, have been a result of me saying, oh, okay, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not going to go to the party. I'm going to go have coffee with this person, or thanks, but no thanks. I don't want to be in the room with you or be held responsible for your state of mind or to have you responsible for my state of mind in any way, shape, or form for the rest of my life. We're not here to talk about good times. What I am going to do, however, is I'm going to take the bullet this evening and I want to do the first story. Woo! I like the enthusiasm. I'm going to do the first story. Although a logical, smart man would actually get the roster of people who've signed up and would figure out who's going to do the second story. So please stand there and pretend that I've brought it with me and I'm going to go get it. Talk among yourselves. What a strange coincidence. I don't even have to have the list because I know who's going to come after me. As if anyone could follow me. He said with confidence and absolutely no basis in reality in any way, shape, or form. But there is also a reason I want to be the first storyteller, because I'm going to tell a story that I have told here around a year ago when I first started coming here, and I have told once or twice in Toronto, and there is someone in the audience, a gentleman named Brian, who has read this story. I asked him for his opinion on it, specifically why did it happen. He gave me a couple of theories. This is the last time I'm ever going to perform this story. There is a very legitimate reason for me doing this. And it's a weird one. And I never have to tell it again after this evening. I want to start it like this. Has anybody here ever had anything terrible happen to them? Sure. Maybe one or two, right? Okay. What's the difference between something that you dislike happening and something that haunts you?
Family member dying.
Family member dying sucks, absolutely.
Netflix password is the worst thing in the world.
Family member passes away, losing your Netflix. I see how those can end up on different levels. I have had numerous things that I don't want to remember, but some of them, they're just there. They don't haunt me. Can I give you an example? Yeah. I got mugged in a cab once. Yeah, honestly, in a cab in Toronto. This is around 25 years ago. I have gone to a party in downtown Toronto. I've left at around 3 in the morning. It's not the best area. Like as I'm walking from this little enclave, I'm trying to get to a main street, and I realized that there were a lot of guys who were just kind of hanging out at 3 in the morning. And they're all kind of very pasty-looking white guys, and they all have the demeanor of somebody who has had a couple of inebriates over the evening. And they're approaching me and asking questions like, do I want to buy some hash? Thank you, no. Do I want to buy some Coke? Well, actually, I'm more of a Pepsi man. Oh, yeah, that kind of, yeah, no, thank you very much. And I'm beginning to realize that not only are they not exactly happy at the fact I'm not buying something, but they're beginning to follow me. I'm thinking, okay, I want out of this. So I managed to pull over a cab. And the cab, if anyone knows Toronto, is going across Sherbourne, and it's going to take me up Jarvis Street It's going to take me to Young Eglinton where I was living. And I'm sitting in the back of the cab, and all of a sudden we hear, "Stop!" The cab driver screeches to a stop, and I noticed that there were two women chasing the cab, screaming and waving their arms frantically. We don't know what's happening, and they open both sides of the cab, and they squish me into the middle of them and say, "Hey, we're going to have a party tonight. We're going to have a party. Hey, dude, do you want to have a party? We're having parties. We've been having parties all night. Do you want to have a party? Hey, I have an idea. Let's have a party. Do you want to have a really good party?" And grabs my crotch. All right. Please imagine this. I'm kind of sitting in the back of a cab. Two women who are being really loud and really weird. One of them has grabbed my crotch. The driver is kind of looking at me and they say, "Just drive, okay? Just drive." And they're kind of grabbing me everywhere and they're saying, "Hey, do you want a party? Do you want a party?" "No, I don't really want a party. Can you not? Thank you very much." And their hands are everywhere. And they said, "Don't you want a party?" I said, "Well, I don't want. I don't want a party. I'm gay. I'm a priest. I'm a gay priest. I don't know, something like that. But I don't want to party with you." And it feels weird and it's frantic and the driver is kind of driving and kind of saying, "Do you want me to pull over?" And they're so loud and it's so fast. And I realize if something feels weird, and I reach behind me to grab my wallet, which is not there. And the moment I do that, they start screaming again, and they open the doors and they jump out of a moving cab. I'm not making up a word of this. We're only going around 30 kilometers an hour. It's enough that once the doors open, the guy slams the brakes on, they jump out, they disappear into the night. He pulls over. I'm sitting there, I'm panting, I don't know what just happened. My wallet, however, has magically reappeared in the back seat of the car. There's no cash in it. They've left all the credit cards. If you get caught with credit cards, it's a federal offense. If you get caught with cash, who knows? Driver looks at me, I look at him, he finally goes, "I'll just take you home." That was delightful. It was not pleasant, but I don't bring it up very often because why bother? Firstly, it's over. Secondly, I know why it happened. Make noise, find a sucker, get handsy, grab the wallet, grab the cash, jump. It's very black and white. It doesn't haunt me. But there is something that has haunted me. You want to hear it? Yeah. Okay. I'm around 17. In fact, I've just turned 17. For some reason, all my stories take part in February. I don't know why. I think February is just kind of a lousy month. It's gray, it's cold. I'm living in North Toronto. It's around 10 o'clock, close to 10:30 on a Friday night. I have nothing to do. And the phone rings. It's late enough that my parents have gone to bed. So I kind of jump for the phone and say, "Hello." And someone goes, "Hi, is this Michael?" So, "Yeah, who is this?" "Hi, my name's Rachel. I met you at Steve and Dave's party." "Okay, I know a Dave and a Steve. I don't think they had a party at the same time, but I actually do know them. And I know that Dave had barbecues and he's got a cottage and I've been there, so maybe I know her from this. I'm not sure why she's calling me." I said, "Okay, yeah, hi, dude. Have we met?" She goes, Yeah, we met at the party. Do you still live close to St. Andrews?" Okay, St. Andrews was my junior high. I said, "Yeah, I do." She goes, "Okay, because I want to know, Michael, I'm downtown, and do you want to party tonight?" It's really late at night. I don't want to do this, but I'm kind of curious. I said, "Well, it's late." She says, "Oh, because we could party. Do you want to get high? Because I can get us really high." And it's weird because she doesn't quite sound sober, and I don't hear anything in the background of her phone call. I mean, usually you're going to hear a TV or a fan or something like that. I hear nothing. It's a completely dead line. And I'm saying, no, it's kind of late right now. And I'm trying to figure out how to get out of the phone call, and all of a sudden she says, "We could have sex, Michael." In those words. Okay, so this is a joke. This is a joke. Now, this might surprise you, but I'm actually very suspicious of my friends launching this joke, and I know this is kind of weird because teenage boys on the whole are known for being very responsible, making good decisions, never acting on impulse, and never doing anything that's irreverent or badly planned out. But, I'm sure, okay, this is a joke. This is a joke. Somebody I know has had their girlfriend or their sister call me to do this. I'm not going to go downtown. But at this point, I'm kind of curious, and I said, "Are you serious?" She goes, "Yeah. We could meet at the Eaton Center. Do you know where the fountain is?" There's a big fountain in the middle of the Eaton Center. I mean, it's going to be late by the time I'd get downtown, but the building is still open. Like, all the stores are closed, but there were restaurants and movie theaters in there, so I can still walk through the building. And I'm not going to do this, but I am curious. And I said, "Well, why at the fountain?" And she says, No, it's the lockers. Okay. This is where it goes from being kind of weird to being legitimately scary. Anybody here grow up in Toronto by any chance? Okay, we got at least one. The Eaton Center has gone through 1,000 renovations since the 1980s, but at the time, lower level, there was a big fountain, and if you took an escalator upstairs, there was a hallway that was filled with lockers and payphones, because this was in the primitive times. And it's a dead end. I mean, you could walk through that hallway. You'd think it would take you to Yonge Street, but it doesn't. It just does an L pattern, and it takes you to blast doors. And I said, "Don't you just want to meet at the fountain?" She says, No, the lockers, okay. And I realized that this person I don't know has just invited me into a blind alley, a climate-controlled, well-lit blind alley in a building late enough at night that no one's going to hear what happens. And this makes no sense. And I can't figure out who would pull this joke on me. And I'm trying to think of a witty response, or I'm waiting to hear laughter in the background from one of my so-called friends setting up the joke. And once or twice more, she goes, "We could have sex, Michael." And I finally say, "Okay, you know what? I have homework tonight." And that was the only time she almost broke character. She said, "You have homework?" I said, yeah, but maybe call me some other time. She says, "Okay. Goodbye, Michael." And she doesn't hang up. I held the phone for around 2 minutes. I could hear her breathing barely. And then I hung up. And I am completely unamused. I'm trying to figure out which one of my idiot friends has done this. The next morning, I go to school, and I start asking around. I find Steve and Dave, and I say, "Okay, what the hell is going on?" Dave was at his cottage. His brother backed him up. He didn't make the call. Steve was not a good enough actor to lie about it, and he doesn't know what I'm talking about. And it's a joke, right? Someone here should very much tell me that this is a joke, because I don't like this idea that somebody I can't identify knows my name, knows where I live, knows my phone number, and invites me into this ridiculous, potentially dangerous situation. I mean, think about it. If you wanted to, and I was paranoid, of course. I was an angsty drama student. I was very paranoid. I'm thinking, wouldn't that be brilliant? I mean, if you wanted to lure somebody someplace, you call them late at night. I don't think there's any self-respecting teenage boy who's suddenly going to go, "Hey, Mom, Dad, someone I don't know is inviting me downtown for sex, so I'll be back in a couple hours. Okay, bye." I don't believe it's happening, but I don't know who made the joke. And I also, if I had gone, which I wasn't going to go, what would they have done? Yeah. What are they going to do, mug me? 17 years old, they're going to get $5 and a couple of subway tokens. Maybe just play with me as they see fit. I had no idea. I just knew that this was off, and it crawled under my skin for a very long time. I asked everybody about it. I asked all of my friends. I asked people I barely knew, all the guys I know, anybody who could possibly think this was funny, and I never got an answer. And I did this for years. I was in university. I was just leaving university. I was at a party. I brought it up one time too many, and some friend of mine said, "Oh yeah, this is Mike's thing. He thinks he narrowly avoided an assassination attempt because some girl tried to hook up with him once. I said that this haunted me because this has haunted me. Like, I'm over 50, and I for decades, have had nightmares about that hallway. And it's not terrible. It's not like something reaches out, to murder or rape me. But if I'm having a bad dream, or if I'm having a tense, angst-ridden dream, that hallway is going to be somewhere in the background. I mean, once or twice I've walked past it, and people have pushed me into it, and it's very dark. It's well lit and dark at the same time, and whenever that happens, I wake up from the shock. And if anybody here can tell me, or confirm to me, that there's a 99.5% chance that this was some friend of mine who made a joke and could not take responsibility for it, the joke didn't land. Like, maybe I was supposed to, put on my cool jeans, put on my cool t-shirt, go all the way downtown, go into this hallway, meet 2 or 3 of my buddies who would look at me, laugh hysterically, and say, "You loser!" And then we play video games until 2 in the morning and take a bus home. Tell me that, please. I can deal with that. But what I can't deal with is this microscopic possibility that somebody is luring me there for reasons I don't know. And that freaked me out for a very, very long time and legitimately haunted me. Until recently. I mentioned this is the last time I'll ever tell this story. I want to tell you first how much that breaks my heart, because I've told this story once or twice in Toronto and once here, and it's usually a creepy, dread-laden, this is ridiculous, or is it, kind of scenario. I've had people tell me it's chilling, and I've also had people tell me, "You idiot, somebody you know." Guess what? Last month, I hosted an event here. I am working downtown in Hamilton, and I get a phone call from someone called Paulina, and I've known Paulina since grade school. And I get a call from her. I get a message on my machine actually saying, "Hi, Michael, I need to talk to you. It's not bad, and there's nothing scary, but I really do need to talk to you. Can you call me, please?" So I call her, and she goes, "Hi, it's been a while. How are you? Listen, I have to confess something, because I was looking through your YouTube channel, and I found a story. And I want you to know that it was me."
Oh, you missed out.
I said, "You've got to be kidding me." She said, "Well, it was me and a girl named Barbara, who was a friend of mine, and we weren't friends for a long time, and there were some pharmaceuticals involved. I don't know whether these are legitimate pharmaceuticals or just what they found. And we were sitting around, and are you mad?" I said, "The statute of limitations of anger for this expired 3 decades ago. I am incredibly amused, but why the hell did you call me?" I said, "Well, we were in a really kind of good mood, and we weren't feeling pain." And she said, "Who can we prank call?" And I said, "Well, there's this guy I know, and I've known him since grade school, and he's really, yeah, okay, here's his number." I laughed for 20 minutes straight. I said, "I'm not mad, but this is..." You realize you've ruined one of my favorite stories. I can't tell this anymore, because every time I told it, I very honestly said this was probably a joke, but if it isn't, it's terrifying. I have had nightmares for decades. She goes, "I know, I heard you say it. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to give you nightmares." I said, "It's okay. I'm still at heart an angsty drama student. I have nightmares most of the time anyhow." I mean, yours gave me a certain frisson, which I kind of appreciate. But I made a promise. I said, "Okay, I am going to mention this phone call in a future event. But after that, I am never going to tell the story again, because it's no longer a story about dread or fear or something unknown. It has just been revealed. It's exactly what it should have been. And I never suspected a girl. My 17-year-old brain never expected a girl because, as we all know, teenage girls are known for being completely stable at all times, not being over-emotional, and never acting on impulse under way, shape, or form. So, Paulina might see this at some point. Thank you for ruining one of my stories, but also thank you for giving me one less nightmare to have on a day-to-day basis. Na zdrowie. And on that rather surreal note, which didn't tie in directly to thanks but no thanks, other than, oh, I had sex with a complete stranger in downtown Toronto. Thank you, but no. I would like to move on to the next performer, who I also have not had sex with in downtown Toronto. I'd be honored to do so, of course, at a different time in my life. I was young, I needed the money. I have known Faye for almost a year now, and she is amazingly, how do I put this, effortlessly talented in the way that she delivers stories. And she has done stand-up, she has done storytelling, she has done pretty much everything, and she's shown up here this evening. I am more than delighted to see her, and I am more than delighted to introduce her. Ladies and gentlemen, Faye Paulette.
That was a fun story. My goodness, let's give another round of applause for Mike. I don't know about y'all, I was literally on the edge of my seat there. Oh my gosh. I did not plan to come up tonight, so I apologize in advance for my lack of preparation. Thanks, but no thanks. That's a fun sentiment. On a light note, I remember when my niece was about probably around 2 to 3, and she had discovered crossing her fingers, and my sister was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you could cross your fingers," and she's just like, that's not crossing your fingers. And she's like, "Oh, well, that's maybe not what you call it, but that's generally what it's called." Like, she's like, "What do you call it?" And she just looked at her and was like, "Not that." And that's a very, yeah, thanks, Mom, but no thanks. This isn't crossing fingers. Silly kid. Thanks, but no thanks. Mike, you mentioned you had your wallet pillaged and plundered, and that made me think about a very Hamilton experience I had. I was waiting at the bus stop at James and Jackson for the 23 to take me home, not on the country road. And I was sitting on the bench, and there was a woman who was kind of in the vestibule, just yelling and having a time. And I felt really bad for her. Like, she didn't have shoes on, it was freezing out, but she was very clearly very angry and not in her right mind. And as I'm sitting on the bench, she comes and sits beside me. And I'm like, just trying to continue on what I'm doing. I was playing backgammon on my phone. And she just reaches over and tries to take my phone. And I held on with dear life and was like, "No." And she just like looked at me and kept trying to take it. And I was like, "No, sorry, no." No. And I like got it back. And I'm thinking to myself after, like, how much of a people pleaser am I that I'm apologizing to this woman that I'm like, "No, sorry, you can't steal my phone out of my hand. Sorry." And then after that, she was pissed off, so I had a bag on the other side of me with a brownie and my sandwich from work that I was gonna go home and eat. And she took it and just threw it into the middle of the road and then looked at me like, and I was just like, "Okay," and stood up and walked away to go stand with some other people, so I felt a little more safe. But as I'm standing there, just watching the road, it's like in the middle, so I can't really run out and grab it. But there was a brownie loaf, is just sitting there, just getting run over by car after car. And I was like, oh, I was going to eat that. It was going to be so good. Not anymore. Oh, and you know what else I had was chicken fat. I had chicken fat from chicken I had cooked at work. Yeah! Someone's in the back like, And I was like, was going to take it home to use to cook with, because, like, fat's expensive right now. I mean, you know I am. I make myself laugh, and that's all that matters. But yeah, I didn't get to cook with that chicken fat. So to the lady at the bus stop who tried to take my phone, thanks, but no thanks.
Thank you. Wait, step.
I have questions.
I potentially have answers. Are we gonna sit?
No, I'm just gonna, it's all tangled up.
All tangled up with no place to go.
I have questions.
I have answers.
I get the whole people pleaser thing. Like, we're Canadians, so at the end of the day, everyone's going to try to be polite.
Of course.
When that happened to you, was your first response, this woman is going to cut my throat, or just, oh, one more thing to deal with today?
Mostly column B, a little bit of column A. I was like, I don't know how far she is willing to, like, she was not in her right state of mind, and she was very angry. She was like yelling out to God about how God was stupid and wants her to fail. So I was like, uh-oh, she might hurt me, but it was really just like, oh, really? Really? Okay.
That's really cool, because a lot of people will automatically assume whoever is approaching me is going to cut my throat or something like that. I always find if you grow up in a city, you're going to be more tolerant of that. You're just kind of roll your eyes.
See, I grew up on a farm.
Yeah, that's why
So,
why
yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. I also know I'm like, she was pretty tiny. I'm a big lady, so like push comes to shove, I would have been able to overpower her.
So at the end of the day, you feel you could overpower your opponent. Okay, hey, that makes perfect sense to
Just
me.
like body slammer.
Did it ruin your day, aside from losing your sandwich and brownie?
No, but it definitely rattled me. It was, once I got home, I was like, holy crap, that just happened. But I like took a shower, had a smoke, and like just let myself relax. And also there was a little kid when I got on the bus who like kept me engaged the whole time. So I like didn't have the opportunity to be like, oh, you know what I mean?
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, my limited experience in Toronto, I've always discovered if you just toss a non sequitur at someone who's bothering you, they'll usually go away. I was at a food court at First Canadian Place when I was working for one of the banks. I was in the middle of lunch, and some guy came over with a clipboard and said, "Hi, do you mind if I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "You have to talk to my lawyer." And he said, "What?" And I said, "I'm on parole. Do you know who I am?" And he said, "I'll be leaving now," and just walked away. So I've always, if someone like comes with what you think is a sword, hand them a banana, see what happens.
Ooh. When life brings a sword, hand it a banana.
Yep, and no. And if you get killed, please don't sue me. Well, don't let your family sue me if you get killed. I'd appreciate that. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Give it up for Faye, please. The next person, if I can fight with a mic stand. The next person I have a weakness for a couple of reasons. Number one, he is an incredibly good storyteller. And we have told stories together at a couple of places in Toronto for like over the last decade, which is a terrifying concept. And he was also nice enough to come in all the way this evening. I never have any idea what his tone is going to be. I never have any idea what the story is going to be about. I'm just always impressed at the end of it. And with all that kind of lead up, how can you possibly resist? Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Terrio.
Well, this whole topic of thanks but no thanks got me thinking about something that happened just as my dad was dying. We had, okay, let's go back to how my dad got into the almost dying part. Yeah, my dad was a chain smoker for a couple of decades. And when they start telling you about what, cigarettes are bad for you and stuff like that, they never quite explain all of it. They say lung cancer, but it turns out that's not the big killer for smoking. The big killer for smoking is a thing called AAA, which is a abdominal aneurysm. So your abdominal aneurysm ruptures and makes blood that was supposed to go to your head and your legs and stuff go into your abdominal cavity. Well, my dad was feeling upset and nauseous. Went to the hospital, and the nurses start flagging him for this particular condition. And they said, okay, well, we'll get a doctor to see you right away. So sure enough, the doctor came out and was talking to my dad. As my dad's describing the condition, the doctor says, oh, I know what that is. That's when my dad's face went white. All the blood drained out. His stomach bulged. He fell over. And the doctor said, well, at least I know what it is. And he put him in an ambulance and sent him off to Toronto, and there was emergency surgery right after that. So, we get a call. I'm living in the city, so I get a call from my mom. She said he's been sent to the hospital, and I zoom out there and wait. The rest of the family kind of catches up to me. The surgery takes a couple of hours, and when he comes out, the doctor says, well, we've got to keep him sedated for a while. It's going to be a lot of pain, and he doesn't really have to live through that to be able to recover. So we're going to keep him unconscious for a little while. And we all kind of nodded. Yeah, that's fine. Well, okay. He wasn't recovering the appropriate speed. So they said about a week and a bit into it that they had to kind of step up his treatment. Usually they'd just be able to put the little nose thing and keep the oxygen going to him, and that would have been enough to bring him out of it. But they had to step up to an intubation, which means to put a tube right here to pump air into his lungs with force. So basically, it's the machines are keeping him alive at that point. Well, one of my dad's big phobias was being kept alive by machines. So he had written a will, or a living will, I guess they call it, and said that if he ever got into that situation, that they should shut the damn thing off and just let him die in peace. Well, we brought this up to the doctors, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that because that's tantamount to murder, and we can't murder him. And this was all before they had any laws about being able to die with dignity. So he was more or less stuck in this limbo land, still asleep. We never had any idea what was going on about the whole thing. We just waited and waited and waited. Sure enough, he finally woke up, and that's when they realized that one of the drugs they were giving him to stop the blood from staying fluid in his intestines, coagulant they call it, he was allergic to. So the blood had all kind of coagulated all over his body. And he was having no muscle control when he woke up. Couldn't talk, couldn't move his arms properly, couldn't stand up, couldn't sit up, all that stuff. So, he wasn't getting much better. And we got a call one day from the hospital, and they said we should bring the family in. So we all came in. We were sitting in a room. The main doctor came in from the ICU, and the hospital director came in, and the head of legal counsel came in. And they sat there across from us and said, we are culpable. What happened to your dad should not have happened. We should have caught it earlier, and we understand. So we want to settle, And I went, well, settle. Yes, we want to avoid a lawsuit, and we want to give you money. Well, this is where me, the eldest male of the family, gets up on his hind legs. You know, I'm a guy who likes to live a different life. I've never been, how do I say this nicely? I've never been one for following other people. I always take the hard route and go where I want to go, do what I want to do. I've not been forced into a corner very often, but that's what they did right here. So I'm sitting there with my family, and they all just kind of stunned. I said, you guys were all acting in the best interest of my dad. My dad would have died that first night, right there in the hospital, if certain things didn't go just right. That emergency surgery gave us 2 extra weeks of his life. He may not have wanted it, but I know we did. They were acting in his best interest. They were trying to save his life. They're trying to bring him back for us. You know, it's one of the reasons that they go to school. They become doctors and healers. They want to help people. And now some guy with a clipboard and a tie is telling me that they're going to give us money that could be used to fix up an ER, hire an extra nurse, build another wing. I don't know how much they were going to give us. All I can say is, thanks, but no thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know if I told you that story before.
You told me part of that because I remember we have known each other for 25 years? Probably more than that.
Yeah.
I met you close to the hospital once or twice just to have coffee when you were still visiting your dad. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You told me part of that story. I never got the ending. I cannot imagine what that meeting would have been like. I mean, I'm so impressed that you took a high ground on that.
Well, sorry to disappoint.
It's not like you. How the hell that happened?
Yeah. Well, all I can say is I'm not looked happily at for doing that very thing. One of the things my dad wanted to do when he was younger is make $1 million. And he never really accomplished that. But, you know, my sister and my brothers, they saw this as maybe being that. This is my dad's last chance to give the family $1 million, and I kind of pissed it away.
I do not know from that. I mean, you acted in good conscience.
No, it's funny. I didn't want to tell the story because it gives you that kind of, oh, look at me, what did I do? yeah, I'm an ethical motherfucker. But, you know, it's more along the line of built-in stupid. You know, I got this low-level programming that you really can't get the code out once it starts running. So, you know, I'm fucked. What do I do? Now I'm stuck with this code that says, money? No, you don't get money. No. You don't like money, remember? Oh, yeah, that's right, I don't.
But you made this great point. This money could also go towards giving somebody else another 2 weeks or 4 weeks or what have you.
Yeah, exactly. I hated the idea. I mean, I was just revulsed by the idea that we'd be taking money away from the healthcare system that tried to save them because they failed. you don't get punished for shit like that. That's where you get rewarded, man. You went on a limb to try to bring this guy back. And what the fuck? We're going to take money away from you for that? Fuck off. That's just fucking stupid.
I kind of understand that. The doctor who took care of my dad while he was dying, every time I ran into him, I keep trying to say, listen, you tried. It didn't work, but it tried. I can never bring myself to say properly, thank you, thank you, thank you. He just says, I wish I could have done more, and I want to tell him, you did. Mm-hmm. So I understood your story. Thank you for telling it. Thank you for answering my silly questions.
Not a problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Brian Terrio. It's always amazing what crawls out of people's minds. Next person I'm introducing Completely Blind. I know nothing about them. I know they're here, and I know they want to tell a story. So, very honestly, I appreciate that. And the rest, let's leave it up to fate. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to introduce someone named KJ.
It has been a little bit too long since I've been here. It's an honor to be back on the stage. Jake, I love being here. Dexter, you guys have a really great production here. Wow, it has been a while, so thanks or no thanks. Or thanks but no thanks. So I've got a few good stories about that potentially. There's one about a time when I was a little bit more, how do you say, kind of spiritual. I grew very legal mushrooms. They were really great. They were king oysters. And I was a shaman for some people, right? So there's that. There's also some good stories from when I was a worker at the homeless shelter. That's fun. There's also another one about when I think I almost witnessed a murder. In my opinion, I don't know. I got out of there, so I think I'll save that one for last. So I'm going to start with the shelter worker stuff. So when the men's shelter was down here on just at the end of James, if you guys all remember where it was, that whole condemned building right by the GO station. Do you know what I'm talking about? That whole fenced off area. So that used to be the men's shelter, but then it moved over to King and Main. Main and Queen or Main and King, something like that. But I used to wear 2 sweaters because it's a dirty homeless shelter, so I'd have 2 pairs of pants, and what I would do is I would do my laundry every other day, right? So I'd switch between them so that I didn't get my other nice clothes dirty, I didn't have to worry about anything. Great. The only problem with that is that living up here on Duke Street, I lived on 1 Duke. The walk home every day, and the people that live around me are the same people that I see every day at work. That's very comforting. Thanks but no thanks, and the story doesn't end there. So that's already enough where you're kind of like, wow, I might get robbed because people might follow me home and they know that I pay rent and that I own things. And that building doesn't have great security. So that's already thanks but no thanks enough. But there was a few times where someone actually did follow me home. And when I started working there, I was told by the other workers not to talk about the fact that I'm a member of the LGBT whatever community, right? Just letters in there. But yeah, I'm a member. I do things, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it is relevant to the story. Because one day, he said, you, janitor in the yellow shirt, I'm going to kill you, you blank. And I was like horrified. I'm like, I know I live in Hamilton and like it's kind of grody. Like I used to come downtown as a kid and you always make sure you're going to be safe, make sure people know where you're going and everything. But like, I don't need to tell people where I'm going. I'm going home. You know what I mean? Like that guy came at me. I went and I hid in another business and I got something to eat, but like, no thank you. So very shortly afterwards, I quit my job because I'm like, I do not want people, I don't want them following me home and potentially trying to rob me or do anything. And another time at that same job, I was working at the one on Wentworth. So, I worked at different locations. And just after leaving work, in my distinctive bright yellow sweater that to me made me feel safe because I was able to be seen in lights, very, very visible, neon yellow shirt, neon yellow pullover that I would always wear. A guy's like, do you sell crack? You sell crack. You have crack. Give me your crack. I'm like, no, dude, I don't have crack. He's like, empty your pockets. I'm like, no, I'm not emptying my dang pockets for you. He goes into my pockets and tries finding crack. He is so convinced that I not only... Look at me, okay? Do I look like I sell crack, guys? Come on. No, I'm like the whitest, pastiest Jew like in the world, okay? Like, come on. I really I don't look like that. He thinks, he is so convinced that I'm selling it, that he goes into my pockets and tries to give me $5. I'm not even joking. He tried to give me the money before I had even given him anything. After he rooted in my pockets, I very quickly left. I'm like, nope, no thank you. I'm gone. Get out of here. No thank you. Goodbye. I quit my job because it was a bit, one too many of those interactions really not fun, especially when you're not getting the hazard pay. I have another story. I can say another one. So when I was young, I'm still an outdoors enthusiast, but I was a lot more active about it. So I really still want to do this, but I want to go the length from Hamilton to Brantford, which is roughly 40K. Maybe a bit longer, depends on where you start. But so my first goal was to go hit the 20-kilometer mark, go there, and come back. So the first time I did this, I was 16, and the season was changing from August to September, so the nights were getting pretty cold. I started a little bit late on my journey. I didn't realize how long it would take me. So I get out there, and once you get past the 10-kilometer mark, you're hitting farms. You're hitting intermittent tree cover. It gets dark. There's no street lights. Pardon me. The only thing that you can trust is your bike light, your phone, and the sweat that is freezing on your legs, right? So my legs were starting to seize up. It was getting a little cold, and out of nowhere, I see this guy. He kind of looks like he's like this in the middle of a field. I see what looks like an Escalade, like a Cadillac or an Escalade. I think an Escalade is actually a Cadillac, anyways. Pull up, and they left all the car lights on so they could see what they were doing. And I saw two people walk up to this guy. I have no idea what happened, because as soon as I saw something like that, I noped out of there. My barely working legs suddenly felt like they could work, because I don't want to see anything that I'm not supposed to see, especially out in the middle of farm country where probably nobody else was supposed to be that night. I don't think that they planned on having anybody else there. No, thank you. I ended up calling my mom. I was 16, right? So thank God she was still able to bail me out. And she ended up picking me up at about the 12-kilometer marker. Yeah. Those are some thanks but no thanks stories.
One more time for KJ, please. I have a few questions. If you take a mic, please.
Go ahead.
I've never had anybody philanthropically try to give me $5 for crack that I don't have. So, man, that's a level of charisma I could only possibly aspire to.
Oh, I think it's because they knew I was the janitor there, and we go around with sharp boxes and pick up drugs that we find and throw them in the sharps bin. I think maybe he thought that I kept it for myself.
Oh, okay. I work for Metrolinx. I work across the street in the GO station once a week. So I know that area incredibly well, and all kinds of friends, meet all kinds of really interesting people. And as for the guy in the field, I hate to ask this, but I have to. You didn't hear at some point that they just coincidentally some guy was found face down in a field, or?
I didn't bother to look in the news because I didn't want any potential links. I'm smart enough to know what to look for and what not to.
And this is all fictional, isn't it?
100%.
Yeah, fiction. Thank you very much for telling us your fictional story. Thank you. One more time, KJ. Thank you, everybody. The thing I love about an open mic is that the tone goes all over the place. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. The next person who's coming up came to an open mic, I believe, 2 shows ago, and walked in out of nowhere, walked out of nowhere, gave a beautiful performance, which I managed to film. And if you go to my Instagram channel, or it's not a channel, page, Instagram, what the hell do you call an account? Is there a better name for this? Okay, I'm over 50. I don't know these things. Profile. Thank you. Profile. And if you go to my Instagram profile, everybody who performs, I will take the footage and I will convert it and put it up. So anyone who's performed tonight, if you want to see that, please leave your email address or your Instagram handle. That is a very long way to say that Alicia's story was wonderful, and I want another one. So ladies and gentlemen, Alicia.
Thanks, but no thanks. A story about rejection that turned into redirection. Growing up in a toxic environment and being alienated at school created a deep disconnect within myself. I was the scapegoat, the constantly abandoned child. It left me with a blistering fear of rejection, almost like I was allergic to any sign or perception of rejection. It was bad. My body would tremble. I'd feel cold. I'd eventually start tearing up with my voice shaking uncontrollably. I'd often leave what seemed like a normal interaction feeling completely depleted. Left to feel like an empty shell of a human being, the shame would then follow. The embarrassment of not being able to govern my own emotions was too much to feel. And so I hid. I dressed to perfection, silenced any sort of unruly voice or attitude, filled my life with distractions, and surrounded myself with people, even the worst kinds of people. But I couldn't say no. I vowed to never be rejected again. Showing vulnerability felt like inviting the very thing I feared most. One day, desperately looking for love, I fell into what most people do, a relationship. I was trained to be the perfect wife and mother. That's all I thought I was good for. Building up someone else's story, no autonomy, no aspirations or agency, just the side character in everyone else's narrative, but never the main in my own. Needing to fulfill the expected storyline people had for me, I clung to the first person who showed signs they wouldn't leave. I thought it was the most absolute perfect relationship, but then again, nothing is ever perfect. Like when he said, "I still don't love you," 8 months into the relationship. Or, "I love you like a sister, but don't feel anything deeper," a year in at this point. Or, "You're overreacting and causing all of this." Anyways, I think you guys get the point. They were still with me, but definitely didn't love me. But I told myself, love would come once I fulfilled my mission as the side character. I mean, there had to be a storyline out there where someone who looks like you gets a happy ending, right? But then again, I had no examples of women who looks like me having any kind of story, let alone a happy one. I was essentially playing house, pouring into this completely broken man and building him up from scratch. My money, my time, my energy. I neglected my future and my needs so he could chase his. And every time we got close to talking about our future, the goalpost moved. After 3 years, I was broken, emotionally, financially, spiritually, with nothing left to provide him, and me now being sick and tired of not being seen by him. We broke it off. Or really, he broke it off. I got an amazing job opportunity that would provide me the only things I ask for in life: stability, consistency, and flexibility. The perfect job for my career, my future children, and my personality type. All I asked is if we could move closer to my job. I was commuting 3 hours a day just to see him, and he didn't really have anything going on at this point. And just like that, he said no. No compromise, no conversation, just, you always want to do something with your life and expect me to follow. Then came the berating, as if I had been the villain the whole time. And I did what I was trained to do. I begged him to stay. I'll change. I'll drop my dreams. I just want to be your wife. I'll fit your story. Every plea was met with the most emotionless, soulless no. And then blocked. Completely silenced. Even though he had my clothes, my furniture, and $6,000 that I had lent him. Completely traumatized by such an energy vampire, this hero needed to create her own storyline, not built off of constant suffering. I was done being the builder of other people's dreams. It was time to build my own. For the first time, I got to know myself, not to make someone love me, but to love myself, to repel romantic relationships that didn't align. And funny enough, I started repelling a lot of other type of people too. I spoke up for myself, called out negative or selfish behavior, and the biggest shift of all, I could walk away from what didn't align with my authentic self. And that changed everything. When I started choosing me, life redirected me into spaces I never thought I'd be allowed in. I started dancing again, not for anyone else, but for me. Dance is my first love, a love that transcends culture, time, and fear. And I used to hide it, afraid of criticism, afraid of how I moved because it was so me. And because I connected with myself, I was rewarded even more. Beyonce noticed me. She actually interacted with and noticed me. And not just her, but her family too. At a Beyonce concert that my ex was influencing me not to go to, Beyonce saw my dancing in the middle of the concert and pointed at me and said, "She slays." Jay-Z then saw my dancing as well, and he complimented it. In that moment, he patted my shoulder and gave me a gold Ace of Spades champagne bottle, completely unopened and ice cold. Then said, "Good job." From then, my mission was clear. It felt like I jumped into a new timeline, like the universe said, "Welcome to the version of your life where you are the main character." I wasn't lucky, y'all. I just like to do the most and be the most while I do it. Thank you. And yes, it threatens people. Energy vampires don't like when you shine. But nobody can take that light away from you unless you give them permission to. A quote that helps me get through the judgment and criticism of society is that luck is just one of the byproducts of those who take the most action. People can use their energy to bring others down, but I like to keep using mine to rise and stay positive. I wonder who will truly luck out in the end. Thank you.
One more time for Alicia, please. Firstly, that's unspeakably cool.
Thank you.
I have never known anybody who's both impressed Jay-Z and Beyonce, so I'm on the same stage with you. My God, I feel like
Thank you.
that's really cool. I just want to ask one thing. You said that you feel like a side character, or kind of felt that way. I don't know if that happens to the entire universe. It's happened to me for decades. I've always written stories, and if whatever I consider myself to be, I'm usually the third character to the left. It feels more like you're in control. So I kind of understand it's not always the healthiest thing to do, and you can't always help it, but I really understood that, and I've never had anyone explain it that way. So thank you for saying that, and thank you for coming back. Any event I do, please come back at your convenience.
Of course, yes. I love to write, so thank you.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you.
One more time, Alicia, everybody. Trying to figure out how to follow that, even in terms of introduction, because I guarantee I did not expect a moment of that story in any way, shape, or form. So why don't we leap somewhere else? Again, I've only been doing hosting for around the last 5 months or so. Someone comes unexpectedly and does something revolutionary every time. Next performer is George, who is working here, who gave an incredible speech last time. I'm not sure what it's going to be this time, aside from being peripherally connected, as always, to thanks, comma, but no thanks. He mentioned this may have to do with the job. Let's find out, ladies and gentlemen. George.
Hey guys. When you start early in life, one of the very first memories you often would have, and that we have all that in common, which is you being told no. Because when we're that young and we know nothing of the world, and we're picking up all these skills in life, when we're told no, we just get it as, oh, this is an obstacle, I cannot do that anymore. But as you start growing up and you start developing and you start thinking about things and forming your own opinions, you start realizing that actually when you're told no, when you add context to it, no becomes a utility. It's not just an obstacle, it's a utility. So I grew up with a lot of no's. Some were, I would say they were way more than the normal no's you guys get. Like, I had an excess of no's for my age group. And that had to do with my parents growing up with nothing. Like, we had nothing growing up. So the kind of no's I got is like, oh, Dad, can I get a soccer ball? No. So I had to also develop and understand those no's to be able to know how they can become a utility. So as I'm growing up, I kind of developed this bad taste for the word no. So I didn't want to hear it. So if somebody told me, hey, you can't do that, like I would be furious, And that's not a good place to operate from in life, which is anger, wanting to avenge or stand up for yourself in a way. But no, we should always operate in life. Kind of lost my trail there. Okay, let me relax more. I'm too much in my head. Oh, are we back? Yeah, thank you. So when you start developing and you understand these no's, how good of a tool it can be, and you stop being angry at the word, you can start actually using it. And the more you use the word, the sentiment of no, the more you become a master of whatever you're doing. So anytime somebody told me no, like, no, you can't have that, I use that as reference or as something I want to overcome just to prove that I can get to do things the way I want to do them. So what is all this leading to? Even though I appreciate being told I can't do something, so I can challenge myself, sometimes that challenge comes from within. And very so often, I would hear myself saying to my own self, you know what, not this time, I'm gonna pass, so thanks, but no thanks. It has to make sense to myself right now. So thank you guys. I don't know if that makes sense, but
One more time for George, please.
merci.
That made more sense than I think you think it made.
Yeah, so I was trying too much to. I still hold a bit of negativity, inside myself from being told no so much. So I'm just trying probably to process it.
I mean, part of life, I guess, is especially in wanting to do a job or wanting to do any discipline. Someone is always going to say no because you don't do this properly, or no, you don't do it the way we want to. Occasionally, no, you shouldn't bother doing it.
Yeah.
I've experienced that professionally, like artistically. I've been an actor, I've been a film student. Sometimes people just look at you and go, why are you bothering to do this?
Yeah.
And you never know whether you've just got someone on a bad day or whether you are truly wasting your time. And there's a leap of faith. You need a certain amount of energy for that leap of faith, and you can't always drag it out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you articulate that really well.
Thank you.
And thank you for telling a story again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome. At this point, unless anyone objects, we're going to take a break for around 10 minutes. Smoke them if you got them. Outside, of course, because there's no smoking inside. And we're going to come back where you have a few more performers. If you still want to perform, please feel free to sign up. And if you have performed and you want to see your video clip, please leave your email address if I don't already have it. And I'll see you all in 10 minutes. Thank you.
No, it's so handy, especially for something like that. Like that was really well written. Yeah, I was like the whole time I was either nodding my head like yes, yes. Like, my God, have you seen it? No, not yet. And it's about yes. And so it's funny because some people are specifically like really helped me like influence the story I personally say was like I would have also weird to like vampires out there. Yes. They see me when they just portray everything about me I love watching. 10 out of 10 recommend. It's so good. It has like all the top famous people. And it's at like 30s. So it's like gangster vibe. Like shooting guns. Gangster vampires? Hello? That's so cool. I have a little poem that I wrote about different monsters, but when it comes to vampires, I'm like, oh, monster vampires are tricky, but it's not what you think they require, which makes my gut sick. And then like they give you permission to get through the
Oh, dude, I want sushi with fried chicken.
I do different things, but they're.
No, they're not. So it's
No, they're not.
great food.
What's fish, what's chicken?
It's like Superman marrying,
That was.
I don't know, it's like an awesome like my wife. It's the awesomest people in the world.
Oh, what's it?
The product is going to be awesome.
That's so good. I like
Like
that.
a very great looking Arab marrying like a very great looking European will have a very great looking
Excuse me, guys. George, can you turn off the mic?
Mike.
Thanks.
Oh yeah, we prove it. We just want to sushi with great. Oh my god. Dude, right now, I'll eat the turd if you just add some sprinkle on top. I am hungry. Okay, chill, George. Here.
Are they open right now?
I have not been there yet.
It's really good.
I haven't had it, but it looks phenomenal.
3 times I ate it. All 3 times. Incredible. And I started doing this thing where after the second time, so the third time. Last time I went, I was just like point at the items. I wouldn't ask what they are, and it just I was certain I was gonna, and it was delicious.
And what about the fried chicken? What fried chicken? KFC?
No.
Oh, okay. You do something so like local, but I
What's the other thing you named? Popeyes. I like Popeyes. In a pinch, not in a pinch, but like it's nice. If that's what's open, you're not gonna be upset, you know. That's what I'm saying. But I have 2 favorites, and I'll give you number 2. It's Mary Brown's. Okay, and number 1, believe it or not, Fortino's air fried chicken.
You know what? There's something to be
Bellissimo.
said for fish and chicken.
Like,
They're
you,
like,
you don't eat that chicken.
Yeah, they do.
You don't eat that chicken. That you take it out. You know, it's like you show her a good time. It's such a perfectly made seasoned chicken. It's like God did it. And that chicken was amazing. And my okay, I'm a fucking panic. You were.
I understand. Thank you.
Like they say.
Yes. You know the show? I don't know if you're switch that word. There is.
yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, that's where I like it.
Okay.
I know. Even though I don't know how to do it. Oh, fuck you.
Shelter, what's wrong? Your wants
All the swear words. That's the
That's
only.
what you
That's how you really
Start with the square word. Start with the fun ones.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. See how their train of thought. So where did you get your
goalies.
Yeah.
They have everything from school Saturday, they forgot to give me a fork, so I got their French fries.
And it has.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's like, I think French or something, and then all the onions.
Look, and audio has some good deals.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
But yeah, I think we should have some
It's a safe, good ranch. I could honestly just like French fries, but I had them yesterday.
But honestly,
Their
nowadays,
chicken burger
it's such a
is so
competitive
good. And I
market.
feel like the
Because, you know,
chicken
it's
burger
an
is
OEM
like
product made by, standard product. So everybody's doing great
But still, it's so good.
And it's not
And then
their
their burgers are
product, everyday use plastic. So those
There's so much. It's great. But it's also like, man, I can spend all my money here.
Oh my god! Oh, it hurts. It's so bad. I was living in right here, and there's not many same thing. And open half.
I thought it's because the speakers were pointing a bit towards the mic, especially that one. I went and turned it away. It was literally pointing at the mic.
So coming here, I'm like, wow.
Right.
Hello!
It was
I love that. So I'm like, hi! Oh my god.
So I used to live in North
But yeah, that's also
Which is like very far north, and
Lower
literally as I
degree
left, they just got
figure out.
dead. So it was like, but there wasn't a lot on
The
there. So when I
mix into this.
I experienced like 3 a.m. and I was like, I'm just gonna order food. Like it's not that I'm like,
I love when the thought comes and you're like, wait, I'm free. Like, I can do this. This is my life now. Like, I love that. Oh my god. It's always like a
especially for like, oh, like first thing there, I'm not saying I'm not happy with this.
I was saying, Jake, you should
I
have a
did,
sensor.
and then I stayed with an
Sensor,
and
like
then
a motion sensor. And then when people walk in, like that lady did, she was spying in and she left. Like a huge
I know,
follow
like,
light with
do you
glass
up?
in
Like,
the
what am I
face.
going on
So
here?
these people just stand there, all the other set of them, they have to walk in.
Well, and then I was here after I was in
Shame them.
North Bay
Spending.
in Anchorage, which is just very.
Yeah.
And then came here.
You probably, of course, a lot of terrible message. You probably walked on your kids. You probably walked away from your dreams. It's a good shot. That's like the lazy. Everybody's looking at it. They walk in, they buy a patty, and you go, 10 bucks.
It's like, it's definitely different. Like, I
Yeah, it's not only that your card payment approved, but you got to go out. It's kind of funny. Let me But I'm ecstatic. I'm in a very happy mood.
mean, it's different. Yes. You know, I like to
I don't know if you know this, but I really enjoy it.
honestly,
I have like a brotherly feeling. I appreciate you, man, in more ways than you know. Being there helping makes me happy. Specifically, you're a great man.
Good guess what it is. It's literally parking lot.
Is it on John?
I don't know what it is. I think
Last week
standard
was
cross
we
from
got to the
and I
comedy
saw
show and
I
then we
saw the
drank
driveway
and then
and I was like, no one's gonna
I
be
thought you said hi to her. You're sitting there alone. Like a
Oh my god, your change is real.
Yeah. So, and then Saturday we went to Mississauga. We did this activate. It's like not an arcade. So we have gym slash arcade. You walk in, you buy a side slot for like 75 minutes.
I love
You pay
it.
$50 to 5 people in a group. And then once you go in, you have a bracelet, and when you tap it, there's one room, and every room has several visual games in it. Like once, so the whole floor is tiles, in LEDs, small squares, and then one of them is like, the floor is lava. Yeah. We did that, and then Sunday we had this man's house. Yes, he came here once. Old guy with his wife. So we had barbecue. You got exhausted separately. 30 years. You can't get out any nights. And yesterday, she stayed up to watch me live. She gets a break. What is she like?
We're on the same
And also because she works hard and studies hard.
ladies want to go a second time. I say that without irony.
Because she's something to throw off. She would watch like reality shows. Traveling is a big thing for her.
Oh, sorry, Faye. Can you stand up for it?
Different type of mic.
Amy first, and Brian, whatever you want to do.
Sure. She told me that.
Going back up again.
When she emailed me, she was really
Okay.
the same moment.
Then,
I was like,
if I may, I'm going on a hunt.
I'm sure. What's your, it was.
What's it called?
It's called
That's why I gotta do stuff that makes me like, right? Yeah, they should be open.
Yeah.
Everybody would argue that, like, hey, I'm the comedian.
Yeah, you don't want to fire the person.
Guys, anybody wants any consumable and protein?
That sounds so sketchy. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, if I'm going to get food, anybody wants to get that food?
You better wait till I'm done. Then you can cook it. Every time I go say to my house.
I never ran out. Yesterday I was sitting there next to Adam Walker.
They're all vegan here. No, you gross.
Are you going up next, David?
Yeah. Okay. Now I have to suffer through the pain of being here.
Yes. For your friend.
Because it's very honorable. I have to be a good friend. Yes, sir.
Like there.
Let's tackle world hunger. See? You should use the keys. I'm just saying. See, I saw her stage.
I'm gonna find a way to make it funny. Is it? I think it's actually drugs. It's a pill to help you not feel pain.
Do we really have all those?
So I'm like, I'm so in because you do it from home. You don't have to go visit the doctor. You can be a placebo. Well, I don't think it's a placebo because the first day they had you do this thing where you know the leg extension machine? Yeah. So they make you do it. Until you get to your one rep. And my leg hurt like 2 days after. For 2 days, my leg was sore. Then they gave me the drug yesterday. After I did the work again. Did the workout. And like, okay, let's take this medication. Take 4 pills. You want to take it one by one or all 4 at the same time. It's a double blind test, so they don't know what either. But I can tell by the fact that my leg doesn't hurt that it works.
We got 2 minutes, please. Conduct yourselves accordingly. We're going to start again in 2 minutes. Thank you. And that's not an order, okay? I mean, saluting would not kill you, but it's not an order, okay?
We were saluting.
Can you salute me again? At ease.
Great, but there's the woman who performed Breath of the Cow. She used to run 2 days.
She like the marble, like stuff, so I'm like, I feel like
walk
they
out, there's no pain. I'm like, what is that? I was listening to the joint. They placed it, it's your bone. And she said that because she was running. I saw her, and I said, I want to talk to you. No, I was like, let's play yours, it's still good. But then again, we probably have better form. Probably because we're
No, everyone needs my cookies. She like was like, I'm gonna show you that I'm really good. And she like made glittery nasty butter. Yeah, and apparently it tasted like cinnamon. You scraping your glitter though. Oh my god! And then she made cranberry oyster. And it was like the canned oysters. And then it could be great salt sweet. It could work, but then oysters. That's where we're at.
You were angry. I'm like, yeah, okay. I get you. You gotta kiss and make love.
And Harry Money's like, why is this crunchy?
I need to go get something to eat. I love you, but I really need to eat. Otherwise, I'm gonna destroy.
Yes. Oh, I love those. So good. I can like.
Don't you dare get me.
It's just like so chill, and then they'll sometimes they just like get talking about those.
No self-respecting
But it's just like it would go this way most likely. You're like
His
just
name
trying to
is
get
like
over. You're
Levis,
not
like,
quite ready to ask
Israeli
them, but like, okay, I'll pretend to be this person, and then they'll like go off script. It's so silly. It's so
I saw it.
It's
You
very
look.
like I think that's what I'll say. Oh, and it's called what is it?
You should know they invaded your country.
Okay, so I literally walked in. I called
You didn't
him.
look at the it didn't strike you as odd.
No, I literally didn't. I just said, hey, which is your best shawarma, meat or chicken?
You didn't have meat shawarma.
So he said, I only have chicken. So I said, okay.
Just trans shawarma.
So I said, okay, please just give me that. So he gave me shawarma. So I didn't even
Look at the menu.
I didn't even speak
I went back to Celtic and I picked up that this country is, I'm eating it with just the bread, right?
pita bread.
Wait. I got, when we went to Celtic together, I got oregano. I'll give you some of it. Oregano. Stop. I'll give you some of it, just sprinkle some. Okay, I'll bring it tomorrow. Sure. I like the lebanon. It is kind of like Asian spice.
Lebanon. You put it. So let's say this is this is the round plate you're putting it in, right? Out of the box. Okay. So you fill it up till here, and then you use the spoon to carve like a channel all around, and you dump olive oil on that. And then you add a mint in the middle pile that's formed, and you dip it to the olive oil with the
Oh, I know that.
It's sour cream, just further hydrated. Dehydrated. I like the texture.
Meine Damen und Herren, Mesdames et Messieurs, guten Tag, buona notte, various other things in languages I don't speak and can't pronounce properly. And the lights drop. Thank you very much for coming back. Is everybody ready to hear more stories? Is everybody ready to hear really dirty stories? Okay, now we got more enthusiasm. How about stories that will make you $1 million before you turn 30? And if you've already turned 30, it will give it to you retroactively. Anybody? I have no idea. I'm just kind of riffing. So why don't we bring out someone who actually knows what they're doing? The next storyteller I have seen and was incredibly impressed with how accomplished they sounded and how well-paced they are. And hopefully I'm not building them up too much. But I don't think I could, because what I saw was completely sincere. And he's coming up right now. Ladies and gentlemen, and I can't... Nassar, I just can't pronounce your name. Come on up!
The first story I wanted to share that goes with the theme of what we're talking about was actually aimed at the gentleman who was sitting over there, but he left. He was talking about the Brantford Trail. Last week, I was kind of bored, so I left my house, which is here, and I ran to that trail, 6 kilometers. Then I ran 12 kilometers down that trail, and then 12 kilometers back, then made it back to my house. 36 kilometers in total. No need for applause. But here's where it was in the theme of the show. As I was running down, 2 incidents occurred that were foreign to me. Number 1, I saw really strange shit, like literally strange shit on the floor. I'm used to seeing deer poop. I know what it looks like. Goose, know what that looks like. But I saw something that was much bigger and greener. And I was worried. I was like, are there bears on this trail that I should worry about? Are there moose? Thanks, but no thanks. And you'd think I would have the common sense to turn around and go back, but no. I kept going down the path. As he mentioned, you get to a part with the farmland. And this is a first for me in Canada. It's the first time I see no trespassing signs. And again, I was scared because I'm thinking rednecks with guns. And I don't know that the path that I'm running on is considered public. I'm like, if it's going through their land, if they have signs on the side saying no trespassing, will I be shot for running down this road? Thanks, but no thanks. But I still kept going. The anthology that I want to share with you today is 5 stories that tie in with what we're talking about. The first one I like to call the job. When I first started working as an accountant in a company that nobody ever grows in, I had the opportunity to leave that and to work at a very famous bank, the National Bank of Kuwait, NBK. They would have offered more money at the time. My mom was pushing me to take that job, but I said, thanks, but no thanks. I will stick with this job that had a manager from hell who made my life hell, but eventually I knew it would lead to something good. And it did. I grew as a person, I got better jobs, because of the start I got in that company where I taught myself how to type Arabic really fast, I taught myself how to type without looking at the keyboard in Arabic, and it all helped me out later on in life. At one point, I thought I had my dream job. I had an older manager who retired or was fired, I never found out. But when he left, they brought in a young gun to replace him. And to say that I fell in love with this person would be an understatement. I did a lot of stuff for that guy that I would never in a million years have imagined I would do. I slept in the office to finish a report. I worked with him past midnight on several occasions. I would work Fridays at his house, and keep in mind, I used to live in Kuwait where Friday was a day off. So I would work on the weekends. He'd been to my house. He'd carried my son. Because when he was born and I wanted to give his mom a break, I would take him to the office with me when I'd never leave the office on time. He was the Harvey Specter to my Mike Ross. Until I found out the hard way that he is a workaholic, very badly. Like on his birthday, his actual birthday, which was on a Thursday, his daughter is calling him saying, "Dad, please come home. We want to go and like celebrate you. We want to blow out candles. We want to have a party. My younger sister is falling asleep." And he kept pushing her off because we had a report that needed to be finished. He promised that if I stayed in the office that day, that I could take a vacation, that I don't necessarily have to report properly. So I did. And when it came time for him to pay up, he refused. And what made it even worse is that he was verbally abusive. I believe now the term I was looking for is gaslighting. I was gaslit by this person. And he made it so that I resign from the company. Now, I'd been an employee until that time, for 7 years. 7 when we started, so 10 years. 10 years I'd been working, and he was the rock that stood in my path and completely derailed my career. My last working day with him was November 2017. In April of 2018, I was offered another job for another company, making the same exact amount of money. Everyone was telling me I should take it, but part of me said, thanks, but no thanks. For a year, I was bouncing around doing jobs that I had never done before in my life. I was on social media. I did an ad with George, if he's still here. And it was an enlightening year of my life. All because I said thanks, but no thanks to taking a job that I did not feel right about. The other story has to do with, it's a little earlier in the tapestry that is my working life, but it's also fairly interesting because in the second job I had, I made friends with my supervisor's roommates. He was a really cool guy. He was the coolest guy in the office. You could just tell that this person was cool. Amr Mursi, that was his name. Shout out to Amr Mursi. I'm going to show him this video later. Like I said, he was cool and you wanted to be his friend. So what happened was he ended up leaving this company. And a magazine gets delivered. A magazine gets delivered in his name to our office. Now, the secretary said, we'll just give it to your supervisor who is his roommate. He'll give it to him. I said, thanks, but no thanks. He's my neighbor. I'll take it to him myself. So I go to Amr to give him a magazine. He goes, I'm going to a gym to sign up. Do you want to come with me? I said, sure, I have nothing to do. Now, mind you, the gym that I had already signed up to was roughly 15 KD for a year. 15 KD, for those who are mathematically challenged, is about $60 for a year, okay? I go with him to a gym, and 1 month costs $25. But he wants to sign up. Usually, I would say, hell no, that's too much money, because I'm still building myself up. But something in me said, sign up for that gym. And I did. But here's the kicker. I left my wallet in his car. He picked me up from my house when I gave him the magazine, and we went to sign up at the gym. So he paid for me, and I told him, I will pay you back. And then we're talking, sharing stories, and I forgot to take my wallet from his car. We go to the next day, and I needed something urgently at work, and I noticed that I forgot my wallet. So I call him up, and I say, hey, Amr, I need my wallet, man. So he's like, come over to where I'm working. And mind you, this is before locations and GPS, and so you just had to know how to get there. So I go there, I go up, I take my wallet, and we get to talking, and he asks, would you like to work here? At the time, I was a tax auditor. No career in that in Kuwait. He was offering me a job in internal audit. I started at the bottom. And now I'm in Canada as a senior auditor because of that magazine. And because I told the secretary, no thanks, I will take it to him myself. This third story is called The Shirt. When I was in Thailand, and no, this is not the story of when I was molested by an elephant in Thailand.
Can we get to that later?
This is the story of when I got a shirt in Phuket. Now, I thought I was getting a steal because initially the person wanted to charge 1,500 baht for a t-shirt, and I'm sorry, I can't do the math, I can't remember how much that was, and I was able to get it down to 750. And I was really proud of myself. It was like this really cool shirt, it had holes in it, it was red, it had a dragon on it. It was amazing. I told the guy I'll come back and buy 2 more, but then I just never managed to get it back to him, and we traveled shortly after, and we went to Pattaya. In Pattaya, I found the same shirts for 250. So of course, being the mathematician I am, I was like, I'm gonna break even or break my loss, and I'll buy 3 of it. So I bought 3 more of that shirt. So I'm in Kuwait, which is a dry country, if you didn't know, no alcohol. I just started playing rugby. And at one of these rugby parties, they decide to make their own alcohol. They call it tea. I didn't know that. I signed up to help them make tea, and as a Muslim, you can't be around alcohol. You can't make it, for sure. But I went there, regardless. Could have been a deportation, because that's how Kuwait rolls. But at this party, I'm wearing my red shirt. I get tapped on the shoulder. I turn around, and there's this Irishman, piss drunk, red face, red hair. And he offers to trade me for my shirts. He's like, I'll give you this rugby shirt, it's very famous, it's blah, blah. And I'm like, sorry, I don't play rugby, I'm here for the people. I was trying to meet women. No, thank you, I don't want it. And then he offers money. So initially I was like, thanks, but no thanks, I'm not gonna take your drunk shirts. But then when he offered money, I was like, okay, here's the shirt off my back. I will give it to you for the money. Fourth story is called Loss. I come here every week to do stand-up comedy. With stand-up comedy, you take the shit that happens out there and you bear it with your soul on the stage. I've come to the conclusion that you can't be a good comedian if you don't experience loss. And in life you have to choose, like you don't get to choose the loss you have, but you need to be okay with it. So this is not a story I wanted to share in front of my 8-year-old, but I lost a marriage. But what do I have in return? Everyone talks about how they don't like their parents or how their parents passed away, and I have that in my life, and I'm very thankful for it. If I were ever to be asked, would you change the loss you have for keeping a relationship, I would definitely answer that with thanks, but no thanks. Because every step I have taken along my life has led me to where I am today. And if loss is required as a catalyst for comedy, then I'm okay with the loss I have. One last story is opportunity. Now, I mentioned that I lived in a country called Kuwait. You will know that Kuwait has the strongest currency in the world. It's a tax-free country. I was born there. I lived my whole life there. I'm familiar with everything there. Spent 36 years of my life in that country. When I was given the opportunity to move to Canada, I threw that all away and I said, yes, I will go as a 36-year-old and move to a country that I've never been to, a climate I've never experienced. I hate winter. It is terrible. It is not what the postcard said. But I still made that move. Even though people are bending over backwards to move to Kuwait, I was running the other way. And even when people kept saying, why don't you stay here? The money is great. The life, you can do what you want with money. And I said, thanks, but no thanks. I will take my chances here. Thank you.
One more time for Eamon, please. Can I explain to you why I don't have a lot of questions? It's a very good reason, because your stuff is so dense and so concise. I don't have a lot of follow-ups. And also, the last time I'd ask you questions about how does Kuwait possibly get money without taxes, and you explained it's all oil money. I will ask you about how you got molested in Phuket by an elephant at some future date, when there isn't an impressionable child in the audience.
He knows the story. I said it in my stand-up comedy. It's there. You can find it online.
I'm just amazed.
There's a picture too.
Can the picture be seen by somebody who doesn't have ID, proving they're over 18? Do you keep in touch with the elephant?
I did see him like 10 years later when I went back to...
Just had a cup of tea or something,
Remember me?
Maybe Christmas cards once a year or something?
Yep.
That is incredible. Thank you again for performing.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have another story. It's a little bit backwards. A lot of things in my life end up slightly backwards, and it's not unwelcome. It's just unconventional. Anyone know what the law of attraction is, the power of attraction? This was big on talk shows around 10 years ago. You just have to focus positivity into the universe, and it gives you wonderful things, right? I mean, oversimplified. I'm not saying it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying that all of those precepts completely went sideways for me on the teeniest, tiniest times that I tried to experiment. Let me give you an example. Around 10 years ago, everyone on Facebook, of a certain vintage, so, people around my age or slightly older, slightly younger, started saying things like, today I'm grateful for having a great family. Today I'm grateful for having a great job in a profession that I love and stuff like that. I'm thinking, good for you. Congratulations. I don't feel particularly grateful about anything right now. I mean, I have no complaints. But one of them hit me at just the right angle one day, and I'm going to bed now, going to Facebook, I'm leaving, good night everybody, and I'm grateful for having a good job that gives me a lifestyle I like. Tossing that into the universe, saying thank you. Within 24 hours, I get fired. Literally within 24 hours. The healthcare company I was working for 7 years fires me just before my birthday. Thinking, you've got to be kidding me. Now, it doesn't end particularly badly, because within a month and a half, they called me back and said, we've realized that we fired a bunch of people and no one does your job.
might you like to come back on a contract basis? And I said, you're going to pay me, right? So it didn't end horribly, but it went sideways. I cannot blame the gratitude comment, can I? That would be crazy, right? That would be insane. I forgot about it. A couple of years later, someone does the same thing, some incredibly sentimental. I'm so grateful for the wonderful place that I've built and reconditioned in this wonderful town that I love living in. I thought, okay, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. Same deal. I typed in, I'm grateful for the fact I found a nice house in Hamilton and we could afford it and we've had no problems. 24 hours, there is 2.5 inches of water in my basement. We managed to get it fixed, and I thought, I'm never doing this again. I am never doing this again. I have obviously offended some karmic force by saying, this is great, and some force going, oh, it's great, yeah, how about this? I don't really believe that. And, causation is not causality or the other way around, but it did remind me, sometimes don't throw something in the universe. Let me give you a more tangible example. I used to work for the Toronto Police Department. I did not do anything. No, I was not a narc. I didn't do anything particularly interesting. I was a social worker, kind of. I would write presentations for senior citizens to teach them how not to get scammed. So it's not the most exciting job in the world, but it taught me a lot of ways that people try to scam other people and lots of really shifty things people do for cash. It also put me in touch with a lot of senior citizens, which, I suppose is nice. And the thing that depressed the hell out of me was the amount of money they were spending on lottery tickets. That's a weird thing to complain about. Anybody here play lotteries? Go forth with my blessing, okay? Enjoy yourself. If you want to go gamble, go for it. I'm not telling people not to do it. I'm not saying I disapprove on a moral basis. I can't do it because I became really nauseous. I would watch these seniors in their homes, and I'd give this presentation. Don't, if someone comes to the door, don't sign a contract. If somebody calls you, don't give them your Visa number and stuff like that. And I hear them complaining, I barely have enough money for groceries this week. And then as I'm leaving the place, I would see them over a stack of scratch and win cards. It just made my skin crawl. Maybe it's one teeny tiny residual effect from years of Baptist Sunday school. Like Baptists don't gamble and they don't drink, they don't dance because it could lead to sin. I have no comment on any of those three things, but I decidedly don't gamble. It just, something about it makes my skin crawl. My uncle passed away around 15 years ago. Was a very wonderful guy. And after he died, I went to his hometown. I wanted to make sort of a pilgrimage. I think I'm gonna walk around the streets where my uncle and my father used to walk. They were both passed away at that point. I'll spend 2 days there, walking, contemplating, trying to pay homage, all that kind of stuff. It's like northeast of here. It's a town called Neustadt or Neustadt, if you want to be German about it. And I was staying in another town called Hanover. And I remember this from being a kid. I thought it was wonderful, and this could be great and spiritual and fulfilling and emotional, blah, 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 blah. But there's a casino there. And being an idiot, and since I'm spending the night there, I figured, why not? I'll go into the casino. And just same deal. My skin crawls. Firstly, everybody who's there looks like they can't afford it. Secondly, everyone there is really too old to be there. There were a lot of people in walkers in front of slot machines, putting in cards. They're not going to win anything. I saw guards at the door explaining to people, well, you can come back. Now, we can't loan you money, but if your uncle or your nephew or someone can loan you some, then you can come back, but we're not allowed to loan you money. I want to shower. So I spend, a day and a half walking around getting my spiritual retreat, and then I go back to Toronto and I meet my wife and I say, this is terrible. I can't believe they've done this. I can't believe that there's a racetrack in this rural community and the people can't afford it. And I'm on a soapbox. I'm ranting as loudly as humanly possible about how this is terrible and you would never see me do that, etc., etc., etc. And the karmic boomerang has been in my hand. Whoo! And it goes out because at the time, I was living in downtown Toronto. I was working in the middle of nowhere in the west end of Toronto for a job I did not particularly like, and I was trying to defect someplace. I've got recruiters occasionally sending me to jobs. So a week after my rant and that I would never do something like that, I get a call for a job that I am very qualified for, that is within 15 minutes of where I live and would pay me an extra $12,000 a year. And it is with the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Commission. So this is where my first thought was, now this is my opportunity to change the system from within. And I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. I will go to an interview, okay? I'll go to an interview. How bad can it be? I go to the interview. The interview goes beautifully. They love me. They're looking exactly for the skill set I have. They are bouncing off the walls. It's close, and it's a really nice office building. And I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe I shouldn't do it, but maybe I should do this. I don't know. I'm not sure about this. And as I'm waiting for the second round of interviews, I'm sitting in their lobby, and I'm looking at all the posters on the walls. All these wonderful things you can buy after you win the lottery. And I realized a lot of them are not particularly exorbitant. Like, okay, there's not a yacht. You know, there's a fairly good-sized powerboat. And there's a dishwasher for your mom. And there's always somebody, you know, in a graduation gown with a mortarboard. And there's a bike for your kid. And there's someone, it looks like they're burning a mortgage, but it's actually a car note, so you don't have to pay your car anymore. And I realized this is not aiming at people who want to win millions of dollars and you know, travel Europe or anything. This is being sold to people who want to win some extra money so they can get more groceries the next month. And I really, truly want to tell everybody here that I was offered the job, and I said thanks but no out of my high moral standards. I really want to tell everybody that here. But they didn't like me that much. I never got a second interview. So I don't know what you take from this story, because I am married to a beautiful woman named Abby, and Abby said, you could not have taken the job. You would have come home, you would have had the offer in your hand, you would have said, you're gonna work around this somehow, and you would have had it, and after around an hour and a half, you would have come up to me and said, I'm sorry, I can't take this. I greatly appreciate her faith in that. I don't know if I could have or not. So I really want to think I would have said thanks, but no thanks. And simply by saying, I would never do that, that same force that made me, you know, lose my job and have my basement get flooded. You know, maybe it's just reminding me, oh, by the way, I know you're not doing the gratitude thing right now, but the next time you say you're not going to do something, I'll make sure there's a lovely surprise waiting for you. So I don't know, is that paranoid or just realist? Little of both? I'll take a little of both. Thank you very much for your time. I believe Brian is coming back up. The man who needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyhow. Once again, Brian Terrio.
Well, I don't know if you can look at me and project back to years ago when I was 18. I was angry. I was a punk. It's back when we had a punk club in Toronto. And there was a bit of a night scene where you could go hang out, be a punk. Well, I had a girlfriend. She was a punk too. And we decided, she decided that I would meet her parents. Fuck, her dad was just a dick. It's really easy to tell why she wanted to be anything but who she was. Anyways, we ended up downtown. I was so pissed off at her dad. I wanted to punch him in the face. So I know how she felt. Anyways, I decided I'm going to take her away from the street scene, and I'm going to take her to a fancy nightclub downtown just to show her fucking dad. I said, get dressed up. We're going to go to one of the nice clubs downtown. So this was a place called Domino. It's across the street from the Eaton Center on the second floor. It's a big kind of Toronto Studio 64, like a big fancy thing. So we went there. She's all in a nice dress. It's the first time I saw her in anything that fancy. And I wear my my dancing shoes. Put all my leather in the closet for that night. I got dressed up. I had my suit jacket on. I felt sharp. I think we had dropped some acid earlier, so we were kind of singing. Anyways, by the time we got to the Eaton Center, we parked in the underground parking. I don't like the Eaton Center because it was so goddamn fucking sterile. But anyways, as we get into the elevator, 4 guys get into the elevator too. And you could just smell it. They're all from Scarborough. And they're all teenagers, and they're all jocks, and I hated them before they even fucking got on the elevator. So anyways, they get in. And one of them nudges his buddy in plain sight of both of us and says something crass about my girlfriend. And, you know, I got upset. You know, I'm not dressed up for a rumble. I'm dressed up for a nice civil night out. Of course, I know, sabotaging myself, I'm sure. I go out of my way to piss these guys off. So, we pressed the elevator to drop us off. It goes upstairs, and sure enough, they want to get off at the same spot. But no, we're going to let the lady out first. So just as the door opens up, I snap my arm across here, take a step back, the girl goes out first. So it's pretty insulting, right? No, not insulting enough. So I go, drop one right on the floor, right in front of these guys. And I keep going. Well, one of them, I think he was about a foot taller than me, takes exception to this and says, that guy tried to spit on me. So he grabs me, takes me over to the railing, picks me up off the ground. Of course, I'm wearing my dancing shoes, which are slick as snot. Could not get a footing with these things. So anyways, he lifts me up and he holds me over the railing, like, so my back is in danger of falling off. So he holds me like that, and his 3 buddies are like, ooh. So I said, what are you fucking gonna do now? You gonna throw me off the edge? Is that what you're gonna do? For spitting on the floor? You nearly spit on me. Guy, you think I missed by accident? So he started yelling at me, saying some, you know, regular, I'm gonna fucking kill you, gonna fucking throw you off the edge, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm watching his buddies. His buddies start walking, and they're going out the door. I said, oh, what are you, you're showing off for your buddies? Well, guess what? They're leaving you behind. So he's like, well, he can't see, they're all behind him, so he's got to turn his head and look. Crap. Sure enough, he was alone. So I go, so what are you going to do now, big guy? Where do we go from here? What does he do? puts me back on the ground, gives me a push, walks away. So I go over to my girlfriend and I hold my arm out for her, thinking that, she might be kind of happy that I defended her virtue, or thanks, but no thanks. She was upset because she was going to witness me dying.
Can I go back into old charts? You told me that in the 90s. I remember that story.
Sorry to bore you, man.
No, not at all. Because at the time I just thought, dude has balls. This is a compliment.
I think it was me sabotaging myself and, trying to impress a girl. But I was in that kind of nihilist mood that him throwing me off the edge of the thing, I don't know if I would have resisted all that much.
You said when you told me this, I didn't know the name of the club. I know what you were talking about. I didn't know it was called Domino, but I knew the place. You told me that at the time. You said, this may not have been my greatest moment, but it felt coldly amazing to do it at the time.
Well, I don't know, man. I have got a real gift for pissing people off. It's something that comes extremely naturally to me.
Everyone's got a forte.
Yeah, I guess. But I try not to go down that road as much as I used to. As you know, I don't wear my leather anymore. Took that off when my kids were born. So I don't try to aggravate as much as I used to back then. But I still count myself as being a punk.
It does come across. I was never a punk. I just hung out with them occasionally. Ladies and gentlemen, Brian. We got two more? One more. Sorry, I thought we definitely have Faye. We may have someone after her, but let's just go with Faye for the moment. Shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Faye Paulette.
My story is nowhere near that exciting. Thanks, but no thanks. I think is a good sentiment for when you get hit on and you're like, oh, thank you. But, I'm taken or not looking for something right now. And I feel like we can all kind of have one of those experiences that we call back to. Some highlights from mine. One time I was getting hit on at the bus stop and I was like, oh, thank you. But, I have a boyfriend, and this guy was like giving me goo-goo eyes. And he's like, your smile is it's so beautiful. It's like a little baby's. And I was like, oh, thank you, but no thank you. Just a fat drooling baby. No. I think one of my favorites, though, was one of the first times I ever got hit on in public that I knew of, that I was aware of. I had fairly low self-esteem. And I was still with my partner at the time, or my ex, or whatever you want to call him. But I worked at Tim Hortons at the time, and I remember during my shift, I was baking, and a guy came in rollerblades. And my supervisor was like, hey, you can't wear those in the store, man. And he was like, oh, well, they let me do it at the Hawk Shop. And she's like, yeah, this ain't the fucking Hawk Shop, buddy. Get going. And I was like, oh, whatever. And then at the end of the day, I was waiting across the road for my bus, and this guy on his rollerblades, blades on up, phew, 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 phew. And he's standing there chatting with me, and I was like, oh, yeah, And as he's chatting, and he takes off his rollerblades, and he wasn't wearing socks. That's like psychopath behavior. It was terrifying. And that was like, oh, thanks, but no thanks. I'm unnerved. But, and changes into his shoes. And I was just, and as we're talking, I'm just like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so, please tell me you're single, because I'd love to take you out to dinner. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, thank you, but I have a boyfriend, like, well, thanks, but no thanks. And he's like, oh, okay. Anyway, the death penalty, here's why I like it. Literally. And I was just like, 0 to 100. And then I got on that bus and I never saw him again. I hope he's doing well. His feet are probably very blistered. Or they're just one big callus. Oh, One Big Callus is the name of my medical rock band. Yeah. Is there any more? No? Thanks, but no thanks. Come on up.
I only have one. Thanks for the short set, and I only have one question, and it's revolting, but I have to ask. He's wearing bare feet and he's rollerblading. Was there an issue of aroma to go with those feet?
I think it was very, you could tell it was moist when he took them off. Like it was like, if you opened in like a science fiction movie, you open a case and the steam comes up and it's like, except it was sweat.
So we're talking, are we talking Cronenberg here or, Wes Craven? 1970s, Italian giallo horror films, or something entirely new.
Something entirely new.
It's life, Jim, but not as we know it. Oh God, you're a brave woman. Thank you for telling that.
Wear socks.
Wear
if
socks.
You're rollerblading.
One more time, everybody.
Wear socks. Oh, I thought you meant one more time. Wear socks. Oh gosh, Faye, what are you doing?
We've reached a very quiet time of the evening, but for the sake of everybody who is still here, thank you very much for performing across the board. People who came in from Toronto, thank you for doing so. At the end of every event, I say the same thing, but I honestly mean it. Thank you to George, to Dex, and to Jake for encouraging my behavior, and for everybody who chose to perform and people who just chose to watch. We're doing this once a month, and there are a lot of things happening here every week. Visit the CFTA live website to find out more. Check out Instagram. Anybody left here who did not give me their email address, who wants a video of their performance, please let me know. Thank you for coming out on Friday night in April. Have a wonderful night. Cheers.